Hello there and welcome. Brief update because we've had, as I promised, when we have a move, I like to update people. Let's come out and look at Bitcoin. We've had this move up. What does it mean? And I'm just going to show you this big picture because it kind of makes people concentrate on the big stuff. Quite often you learn an awful lot more by zooming out than you do by concentrating on what's going on. And we have a couple of these levels here which I've posted before. We barely paused at the first one. We've now paused at the second one, and this is an obvious level, and those who subscribe know why I've got this level in. And in fact, this level's been here since here, so since July I've had this in as a level, and we've had it twice, just touched it that time before the collapse, and now we're at it again. And the question on everyone's lips is, is this the end of this rally? Well, I can't tell you that. What I can tell you is we are still in the value area, so you should be biased long in the value area. However, for those of you that like to trade this in a sort of more minute to minute type of way, the sort of behavior one would expect here would be, if it does pierce this level, which is about 21.4, then it will probably return to it. So you've got your potential short trade there, though as I say, I'm long only in the value area in Bitcoin, and value area is anywhere below kind of 26. I was sort of 29 and below, and to be honest, I did buy some at around 29, and I bought some more as we fell off, and I've DCA'd the way down. I'm happy with it. Not in an area where I want to sell, but if you want a scalp, maybe you could sell it here and hope it comes off, and that if it goes against you, it'll probably revisit. But how far will it go against you? The next obvious target is kind of up here around the 24. So it depends on your sort of margin requirements and so forth. You know what Bitcoin's like, and just carry on going forever. But it has reached a certain point here. The trouble is everyone's seeing it. Even the most basic, the basic TA sees this high here. It didn't see this level being important all the way across, but it sees this and says, right, this is a good area, this is where it will sell. So I personally think it probably just goes above it and everybody gets stopped out before it comes down. So I'm not going to advocate shorting it. I'm long down here, happy to be long, and I wouldn't say to anybody that this is a good area to sell, particularly unless you want a quick scalp and you're pretty tight with your stop losses. The obvious drop down level is that sort of 19.7 sort of area where we might retest, because after all that is a big level in many ways. And a lot of people will also have looked at let me just one sec. So a lot of people will also have looked at my favorite tool, which is this one. So this is price volume analysis, and so you've got, so let's bring up a slightly different line here to give you some other ideas as where you might see you've definitely got a high amount of volume at that level, and you've also got one here. Okay, so there are potential pullback areas, sort of 22 and 19.1.5, 19.150, and then there's obviously the big pullback one, which I'm not going to say this ain't going to happen. We could come back to here. All of this is just another way of getting people excited and getting them buying. And if you crush their dreams now and crash it back down to 16.7, that's kind of how the banks work. That's how the big boys work. Get everybody in, crush them, make it think that was the last hurrah. Everybody becomes very disillusioned with Bitcoin, and at that point, if you say you bought some here, you've ridden it up, you decided not to sell because after all it's cheap, and then you get that kind of move, bang, straight back down. How demoralizing is that? If you get this straight back down, that is demoralizing, and you'd probably say, oh, sod this, I've had enough. I've been smashed about too many times in Bitcoin. I've had enough of it. I'm going to give up, and that's what they want. Okay, that is what they want. So I would not discount a drop back down to the lower levels. After all, this whole area, as a big sort of Wyckoff thing. Don't forget what it's designed to do. It's designed to accumulate. And I talk about accumulation because down here at the bottom, I'm just going to grow this indicator here. This is our COT tool, which, you know, if you come to our website, which you can see on my profile, and you just leave your details in a little form there, and we'll send you this COT tool. And what this does, it's the commitments of traders, which is CFTC report, which is weekly in arrears. So the latest one is always a week old. But what you can see is, so these red ones are the people holding short positions in futures, and the people we're talking about are leveraged funds. Okay, so these are the guys that are sort of medium term money. They're not day traders. These people are hedge funds, basically. They're not asset managers who have like a 7 to 10 year period. These guys have got a 1 to 2 year sort of look on the way they do stuff, and they're the ones that are doing most of the manipulation. Okay, so here you have the longs rising all the way through this period. So during this period, shorts are dropping off, longs are rising, and this is the net. Okay, now the fact it's still below zero isn't important, because there are perfectly good reasons for having, say, short or long positions in Bitcoin futures that are not connected to, they're not, they could just be hedges for other trades you've got on. But what you can say is that this trend is upwards and has been upwards basically all the way since we came down to this final, the sort of final countdown down to 16. The trend has been upwards. It's had a blip here, but in general it's been upwards. And for me, this just is another reason why I think this is an accumulation Wyckoff pattern, and it's just a question of recognizing, when it's finished. And for those of you who don't know Wyckoff, look him up. The best way of learning about it would be to come and subscribe to us, even if it's for a month. But it's all out there. You don't have to spend the money, and if you don't think it's good value to spend more than you'll lose in the first 90 days on some education, that's up to you. But what I would say is, come and learn. There's a reason. On the YouTube, there's certainly a link to my YouTube video on why you need education and why you need ours in particular rather than other people's. And also, if you come onto our website, you will see, it's mayfair-method.com, then you will see the video I recorded explaining why you are basically cannon fodder, and you need to get out of that. And so the only way to do that is to understand what the other side's trying to do to you. Okay, so that's kind of Bitcoin. So just to summarize for those who missed the beginning, this is a level we're at here, 21.4, which is just tagged just now, has been a level since back here. But most people are going to know it is because it's tagged it here as well. Now, what do I honestly think? I think that there'll be a stop loss hunt higher. So people who have shorted it here, you may find it rises up to above this next high here to get them out as well. Because, what does the average guy do? The average guy sets up a trade like this. I think I'll sell this because this is a peak from before. I'll put my stop loss slightly above the previous high here, so I think I'm safe. And then that looks quite a good trade. If we're coming back down, I've got almost a 3-for-1 risk reward. And what the other guys do, what the bad guys say, is say, brilliant, that's what he thinks is happening. This is excellent. So what we'll do is we'll drive the price higher than that. We'll drive it up here, stop them out, and then crash it down to here, which demoralizes everybody. So there's my Bitcoin stuff. Now let's just go look through some those of you who can't see, just refresh your page. That's what happens. I'll just put that in. So hit F5 and you should see. It is a problem sometimes with TradingView that you cannot see what's going on. It's also on YouTube if you want to find my channel on YouTube and look at that. And people are basically putting in languages I don't understand. So Mardi GMG says hi, and Fernandez says hi. Farnaz says okay. Oh goodness, I really have no idea what that language is even. I'm normally quite good at those. Literally no idea what Farnaz language is. Now Grunky York, I don't know what, Ahmed Tal, blimey. Normally I'm quite good at guessing languages. A lot of umlauts in there, so I'm wondering if that is something, I don't know, Finnish. Literally no idea. So okay, so that's that sorted in terms of what we think. I would say, if you want this commitments to traders tool, which is useful for long-term stuff. So a lot of the stuff we do is long-term. We don't like sort of trading day to day, and there's an extremely good reason for that as well. I'll probably put an idea. I've been meaning to write an idea about why it's dumb to trade day trades, and it's easier to swing trade over weeks or or even longer. But basically, the COT tool tells you when the big boys are building up long positions, and that time is now. They've been doing it since mid-October by the looks of things, as this net COT report on Bitcoin shows. And so, not only is it in the value, it's just showing more and more evidence that this is accumulation. That doesn't mean there won't be another little dip down. My partner Mayfair, those of you who are into Wyckoff will know what I'm talking about here. But he's saying, this might only be ST, and you might have an STB down here, which doesn't have to be lower than the ST. Having this kind of drop would not surprise us particularly because, is everybody totally demoralized yet? No. What would be the one thing that would really demoralize people? Well, a really, really good rocket-like rally that everyone thinks, wow, this is good. And to be fair, it could even come higher. You could drag this whole thing, above that high too, just to get everybody in, to make sure, everyone really then thinks that this is it. So it could come up above 25.6 before dropping. But I still think there's probably another drop in it. It doesn't mean there is. And don't forget, it's quite nice being in my position, which is I'm long and happy with it. I'm sitting there with it in cash. I've got no way of getting called out on a margin call. I'm good with it. My average is probably a smidge above where we are now, and I'm happy with it. 22 was a level where I finished. I finished DCAing lower than 22. Yeah, so my average is around 22, and I'm happy with it. I'm sitting there. I'm waiting 3 years if I have to, because I think we do get a rally out of Bitcoin, which will eclipse the previous high. It's just a question of when and waiting, and you cannot wait if you have margin calls and so forth. So that's why I'm doing it. There we go. Persian. That was Persian. FB82 says, hi Paul, thoughts on NASDAQ? Farnaz says, I don't understand, please translate Farsi. I don't know if you're asking me. So that's Farsi, is it, Farnaz? Okay. Okay, all right. Right. So let's look at NASDAQ. So this is NASDAQ E-minis. And the reason why am I using this? Why am I using the futures rather than like a cash trade? Well, because I get more reliable volume indication, and I also get the COT data. And what do we see here in COT? We see accumulation. So once again, I'm thinking, is this accumulation? Now, I'm less keen on equities as a rule. In my head, it feels... But the evidence is there. Don't forget, COT is just one piece of evidence, so you have to kind of see other little pieces as well. You have got a bit of a rally here. It doesn't look impulsive on a daily. You've got very few impulsive candles, just one really impulsive candle in that whole thing. So am I convinced? Not particularly. If we go back to previous price action, we're at a level which, it is. Once it struck this level, which it's hit here, I'll just put the level in so people can see what I'm talking about. Come on. So there's a level there, which is obvious to me, and it struck it, bounced off, broke it, went from it, and now it's acting as resistance, support again. Is it resistance this time? Well, in general, sort of everyone is thinking it's going up, so it'll probably break this and then return to it. Because that is what I call an inversion level, because you've got discrete price action below it, and followed by discrete price action above it, followed by discrete. This looks like an inversion level to me. I don't think anyone else calls it that, so don't go around spouting that and saying that it's TA stuff, because quite honestly, I think I'm the only person that uses it. It's just where it sort of mirror images itself. Please slowly speak. Sorry, Farnaz, if I speak too fast. But yeah, as you can rewatch the video later on. If you wait for a day, YouTube quite often has subtitles, which it does automatically. So that might help you as well. But it won't let me actually add the subtitles until it's processed my video, which can take hours. So, but this is still getting. I'm looking at daily charts here. This isn't minute-to-minute stuff I'm talking. So don't worry about it too much. So Nasdaq, what do I think? I think it breaks through just because we've got positive sentiment, but it comes back here, and it needs to find its way around. You may mind you get some sideways action. If we look at the stochastic, which is another thing we give free to those people who take a, let's have a look. The stochastic's not on, let's turn it on. Switch the stochastic on and have a look at where it is on a daily. So Nasdaq overbought. In fact, we'll get rid of that free cop one there. So this is something we give to people when they take a subscription, and this is extremely useful. So now we have a fully overbought daily on the Nasdaq. So like I say, it will come back. If this feels like it's overbought anyway, weekly, still room on the weekly to go up. But yeah, and the stochastic is kind of a momentum. It kind of measures momentum. Monthly, up makes sense. Weekly, nowhere, but pointing up. Daily, exhausted, looking to exhaust, and it could well correct down from here. Personally, I think just because of short-term stuff, it might peak above the line there I've drawn for Nasdaq. Any more requests? Well, no, there's no translation in YouTube, but you can literally get the subtitles and translate. I don't know how it works actually, YouTube. Qantas from Briano on YouTube. Don't forget you can ask me questions on YouTube as well if you want to. Let me have a look at Qantas. So where is the best place? I'm assuming that on the ASX will be the best place to look at the price of Qantas. No, we don't seem to have data going back very far for that. Let's try. I think that's going to be quite hard to find decent data on. I want more data basically before I look at something like this. I can't look at it just over since the beginning of 2022 because you don't get the big picture, and it's extremely important to get it. No idea why it isn't showing that. Is this going to be the same? That's more like it. Okay, so monthly. Well, pattern may be here. Let's try some fibs on this on a monthly to see where we are, because I'm actually a monthly trend is a nice thing. So if we take so 2.618, or we can, so I'm just thinking aloud here, take that as a monthly 1, 2. I quite like that, except that I don't like this 2, 3 in the middle. It's not a great picture. So one of the things we talk about is whether or not there's enough evidence to take a trade. And when you have got an unclear picture, it's kind of why would you play with it if it's unclear? It's probably nonsense. We may be able to get a better picture on a shorter term view. So clearly some kind of uptrend. So let's take this as our 0 and go to the daily. So if I put a vertical line there, and go to the daily, and then see what interesting stuff we can get out of that. So we're going from here none of that looks particularly impulsive. And I would say you're right now around the level here, you are a significant resistance. We've got volume data, yep. So let's just have a look at the long-term volume spikes. There isn't much of a spike up here. I mean, I can see this price action here and here, which would suggest that, you know, you've got to break that, but I'm not seeing it backed up necessarily by volume. But you're kind of at a resistance level here, you know. So it's a sort of thing where I would say, gun to my head, you know, I'd sell this. And it has rallied 200% since the lows of COVID. It's more than that. So gun to my head, I'm probably short on price action. Though I wouldn't have said, again, you know, again, we've got not a very clear picture. So unless you're in love with Qantas and follow it and perhaps have a large portfolio, I wouldn't necessarily recommend trading it either way, because there isn't very much evidence. I mean, you've got an uptrend, but you could also see this as the sort of uptrend that ends in a sudden bleh. Don't think much of this price action is significant. You've got an inversion point here at 523. You know, so if you are looking to short, then perhaps that's your target. Would I go long here? I don't know. You know, the market seems to be rallying quite strongly, and people are, you know, you get into a short squeeze situation where people are going, bloody hell, I've sold this too early, I need to buy it back, and then everyone tries to buy it back, and then it goes higher, and then people who sold it even higher are thinking, oh God, this is too much for me, and short squeezes can be quite bad. So there you go, that's what I think about Qantas. Shiba and Dog. Well, it's really tough to analyze these things because they are nonsense shit coins. Shiba Inu, let's use the Coinbase price. They are shit coins, and they don't really obey the rules, because the rules, in order to get decent rules, you need the institution involved, and they could not give a rat's arse about Shiba. Okay, this is just a joke thing, and so as a result, all you get to go on is sort of price action, which is driven by retail and not by institutions. So this is driven by fear and greed. It's that simple. And so what's happened here is that as Bitcoin's rallied off the bottom, so is this, because the whole crypto market feels buoyant on the back of Bitcoin coming off the bottom. So you may as well just say to yourself, this is the same as Bitcoin. Have we reached a level? There's an inversion about there, so not quite. Too many zeros in this stupid coin anyway. But I would say that, you know, it's the same story as Bitcoin. That as long as Bitcoin rallies, it will be fine, and when Bitcoin does one, it'll do one. I've got nothing really to add that's any different from my summary on Bitcoin, which is that we're still in the value area. Now, whether we're in the value area for Shiba, I don't know, and I wouldn't like to say. But I will say that I think it's just going to be driven by Bitcoin activity, so you may as well go with that. Dog. No, Doge. Another one, it's just the same thing, isn't it? I mean, oh God, it's going to look the same. It does look the same. You know, what I think, exactly the same. I've got nothing much to say. There is nothing here to say aside from the same as Bitcoin. It'll be strong as long as Bitcoin is. As soon as Bitcoin fades, it'll fade. It's a piece of, and if you play around with it, you're literally gambling. You may as well go to the casino and play blackjack. You've got better offers, better chances. Right, so that's quite a lot of things. I'll talk about foreign exchange and stuff another time, but I think people wanted a Bitcoin update, so there you go. Now, go along to our website, get the free COT indicator from us. Have a look at why you should pay for education, because you should. You will lose more than you would ever pay for the first month. And I'll tell you what, even when you've done our course, you still need to be practicing for months with fake money, or with very small stakes, before you can actually say making money out of this. There is a reason why all these spread betting and CFD websites have this thing. 78, 83, whatever, 85% of retail who use this provider lose money, and that is true. So education is paramount, and the reason why you should take our education is we try and put you in the place of the guys who are trading against you, which gives you their edge over all the people out there who don't have this education. And that's the reason why I don't give a toss about Dogecoin and Shiba, because we lose some of our edge. We start trading that, we're literally flipping coins. Whereas when we're in foreign exchange, when we're in Bitcoin, which is now institutionalized, when we're in the big boys, gold, and you have got the institutions against you, and because we kind of know how the institutions work, then we've got a bit more of an edge. We've got more time, it's less freaky. Something like Aussie USD actually obeys a number of really nice Fibonacci rules. There was so many ways to lose money. You want to try avoiding those ways, and Shiba and Dogecoin, they are ways of losing money. They're not ways to make it. On that, I will leave you all, and I hope you have a great day. I'll do another update in the next day or two, depending on activity. Take it easy.